Hello and welcome back to the Data Privacy Lawyer. My name is Funmi Owolabi. In today's video, we're going to be looking at cookies. So I particularly picked this guy because he is a Brit like myself. So this is very interesting, right? He is a very prominent restaurateur and chef. I am accessing this site from the US. Now, I think for this review for cookies, we're going to go to the UK site. I anticipate that in going to the UK site, we will at least be presented with a cookie banner and a consent management process flow. If we go to the US site, let's talk about this actually. Before I click UK, which is what we're going to do today, I want to talk about obligations from a data protection standpoint when it comes to processing personal data. In the United States, there is a fragmented manner in which privacy laws are adhered to. We look at privacy on a state level, federal level, and on a sectoral level, depending on the industry that you're in, right? In the United Kingdom, they have the GDPR, which is a piece of legislation that is comprehensive in that it applies almost exclusively to every single organization. There is some nuance when it comes to cookies there. The United States is still, there have been a couple of proposals for a comprehensive US federal privacy law, but it has not ever been enacted. So the experience that a consumer may have going to the US site is definitely going to be or should be different to the experience for the UK site, in my opinion. Now, I haven't visited both. Today's review, we're only going to be looking at the UK site. And what I anticipate in looking at the UK site is that we're going to have the cookie banner. And then we are also going to have the consent management platform, which traditionally allows me to opt in to certain types of cookies. I believe and think that it could be different if I was to visit the US site. So let's go to this one. So we're on the cookie policy page. There has been no banner. That being said, I'm going to scroll down and I just caught something out the corner of my eye. So on this site, they've got the strictly necessary cookies, performance and analytics cookies, functional cookies, marketing, right? So we've got a couple here that are not necessary for the site to function, which should mean that we should have the opportunity to opt out, right? We're on the UK site. I'm not sure if it actually did put me on the US site because the domain is still .com. Let's take a look if we can change that, because I did click UK site. Okay, it may be that actually it doesn't matter because my IP address gives me away and says I'm in the States. And you can see here, it says cookie declaration last updated on March 4th, 2026. Let's talk about this actually. This is very interesting to me because I've never been on this site before. However, I do a lot of reviews related to cookies, and I know that there are other websites that use this consent management platform offered by CookieBot that I have opted into, right, on other websites, which means that there's definitely tracking occurring because this is the first time I've been on this site, but yet, according to this site, my cookie declaration was last updated March 4th, 2026. And just for some insight, I'm recording this on April the 10th, which is a month after, according to this site, I've provided my cookie declaration. I don't want to spend too much time on that. What I'm intrigued about is I haven't been able to locate the preference center to exercise my options, even though I'm visiting this site a month later. So I'm just going to scroll down and see if we can find that because that's very interesting to me. And I really hope you enjoy this interaction that I have with the cookie policy and notices, because I think a lot of consumers aren't aware that this even exists. Like, this is a brand new world to them. And I think it's important for businesses to at least spend some time navigating and auditing their site to make sure that it runs as it should. This cookie policy was last updated April 2025, so it's been a year. Cookie declaration last updated. I'm still very intrigued about this. Now, if you would like me to come back to this video and write them a request and tell them that I went to their site, I was not presented with a banner or notice that my cookies were going to be collected, and I was intrigued about the fact that the cookie declaration had already been updated March 4th when I'd never visited the site before, leave a comment below. I'd like to start taking a look at the different provisions here, but this is very interesting, and I In my opinion, the reason why this exists is because I have utilized a cookie bot preference center on a previous cookie review and a previous cookie audit that I've done. So yeah, that's very interesting. I also think it's interesting that this center exists. You can at any time change or withdraw your consent from the cookie declaration on our website. I'm on the website and I cannot find this cookie declaration. And I'm not sure if by clicking this, let's click it. Yeah, I didn't think that it would. It's taken me to the supplier's website. It has not taken me to the cookie declaration. I have a lot of thoughts and comments about that. And this is why I do these reviews. Because sometimes what happens is organizations get, immersed in the business front of the site. But this is very important. And organizations are able to elicit so much information about us. You can see all of the cookies they've listed here. Now, some of these are necessary. Let's go down to the advertising ones because those are probably the most important. They've got some functional ones here, but they've got marketing, right? Here we've got this cookie. The provider is the Gordon Ramsay restaurant, used by server-side Google Tag Manager to set or update cookies required for analytics or marketing tags, used to track a user's interaction with embedded content. Look how valuable this is. And the maximum storage duration is 180 days. So if a consumer is visiting this site, right, they are aware of my user interaction. And at this point, even though we can see that according to this site, I have provided a cookie declaration, which I wasn't presented with. And then in addition to that, I just saw that I'm able to manage, you can at any time change or withdraw your consent. As a consumer who's spent about 10 minutes on this website right now, this is not clear to me. Where is this done? Please state your consent ID and date when you contact us regarding your consent. I definitely will. The question is, what is my consent ID? I've not been presented with that. All we're presented with is cookie declaration last updated March 4th, which I've never visited this site before on my computer. So I really hope that this review has been valuable. I really do think it's important for businesses to periodically review the public-facing documentation they have when it comes to processing personal data, particularly given that there's so much information that companies are able to obtain when it comes to their own marketing efforts. And in addition to that, I had selected the UK site to visit. I believe that I'm on the US site. I'm not sure, I cannot tell for a fact, but it's been difficult for me to even locate exercising my preferences and withdrawing my consent, even though I didn't even give it. So I hope you found this review valuable. If you have comments about what I've stated, leave them below. If you would like me to reach out to this organization as a website visitor to inquire about this and this section, leave a comment below and I definitely will, and I will do a follow-up because I think this was a very interesting review. So I'll see you again in another video.